What is going on, everybody? It's Jet Central coming back with my first mock draft of the offseason, my mock draft 1.0. I cannot wait to dive into these picks and I guess just explain myself. So with the first pick in the mock draft, I had the Cleveland Browns selecting quarterback Josh Allen out of Wyoming. Josh Allen has pretty much everything you look for in a quarterback prospect. He has the size, he has the cannon arm, he has experience playing in a pro-style system, and he has mobility. You know, I think John Dorsey and these guys, all the guys that Cleveland has kind of brought in to this front office, I think they want to address the quarterback position. I think they're going to target a free agent as well, and I think they're pretty much going to have a three-man competition between a rookie quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser, and a veteran quarterback. So I think they want to get this thing figured out. I still do like Deshaun Kaiser a lot, but I think at the end of the day, Josh Allen makes a ton of sense. Being in the North, or the AFC North, you have to push the ball downfield in the cold weather. Josh Allen makes a lot of sense. So next up, I have the New York Giants. They could go in a lot of different directions with this pick, and I had a hard time picking this player, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. Yes, it is high for a running back, but at the end of the day, it fills a need. The New York Giants already guaranteed Eli Manning will be the starter in 2018. They want to build around Eli Manning. They want to have one more go at the playoffs. Pat Shurmur, Dave Gettleman, I think Josh Rosen would rub them kind of the wrong way. Sam Darnold would be an interesting pick here. And offensive line, they do have holes in the offensive line. But other than Quinton Nelson, there's not really one worth taking it to. So even though Saquon Barkley, I don't want to say it's necessarily a reach for him, but it's a reach for the running back position. He's still a great prospect. I think he comes in and is pretty much a three-down back for the Giants, and he instantly gives the New York Giants a huge boost and a huge weapon on the offensive side of the football. So next up, probably the biggest shock of them all, I got the Buffalo Bills trading up with the Indianapolis Colts, giving up their two first-rounders in this year's draft. So expect the Indianapolis Colts to be picking at 20 and 21. But for now, I got the Buffalo Bills trading up for quarterback Sam Darnold out of USC. Yes, he is from California, but he kind of plays like a Midwestern style of quarterback. You know, he's bigger, he's tough, he likes to hang in the pocket. He's actually admitted that he likes to be hit and kind of it gets him in the game. You know, he's a gaming style, he's a gamer, pretty much. Sam Darnold to the Buffalo Bills, it makes a lot of sense. I feel like he kind of embodies the Buffalo Bills franchise and fans. You know, a hardworking guy, a blue-collar type of player. He likes to be hit. He's a physical quarterback. He's durable as hell. I think Sam Darnold to the Buffalo Bills makes a lot of sense at 3. I really do like that fit. You know, and plus you look at Sean McDermott, a young coach. He might want to get his guy in the building. Tyrod Taylor, he said he's not going to take a pay cut to stay with the team. They're going to have pretty much a hole at the quarterback spot. I see this being a perfect scenario for the Buffalo Bills. They already said that they're not going to go after Kirk Cousins in the free agency market. I think they're going to trade up and go get Sam Darnold. So next up, I have the Cleveland Browns. Yes, picking 4th again by the Houston Texans. You know, they gave up, the Houston Texans gave away their first-round pick to get Deshaun Watson last year's draft. Thus, the Cleveland Browns have their first pick. And I have them going Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State. Yes, they have Emmanuel Ogbah on the opposite side of Myles Garrett, but you cannot pass up a talent like Bradley Chubb at 4. If he's on the board and you can pretty much bookend him with Myles Garrett, that is insane. You look at the LA Chargers, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. This Cleveland Browns could be doing the same exact thing with Myles Garrett and Bradley Chubb. That is incredible if the Cleveland Browns can pull this off and landing their quarterback of the future in Josh Allen. So next up, I have the Denver Broncos selecting guard Quinton Nelson. And of course, this move is based off of Kirk Cousins. I do think that Kirk Cousins winds up in Denver when it's all said and done. I think Elway kind of lures him to the Bronco way, and kind of Kirk Cousins will see what he did with Peyton Manning. Building that great team around him, having that great defense, playing in Mile High Stadium. I think there's just a lot of lure about Denver as a franchise, and I think Kirk Cousins goes to Denver. So the first thing, you know, that you have to do to protect Kirk Cousins is taking the best offensive lineman on the board. That's Quinton Nelson. I love Quinton Nelson. I actually have him as arguably the best player in this draft. He is an absolute mauler. He helps in the running game. He helps in the passing game. This guy would be a perfect fit for the Denver Broncos. You have your franchise quarterback. You just selected Garrett Bowles in last year's draft at left tackle. Had a nice season. So go pair him up on the left side of the ball. Great pick, Denver Broncos. So it leaves the New York Jets picking at spot number 6. I'm selecting Josh Rosen, quarterback out of UCLA. In this scenario, he slips to 6. Yes, the Browns could take him. Yes, the Giants. Hell, the Bills could. Maybe even the Broncos. Who knows? But in this scenario, the Jets miss out on Kirk Cousins, and Josh Rosen slips to them. I think Josh Rosen is easily the best quarterback in this class. He's my favorite quarterback in the class. If the Jets were picking one, I'm taking Rosen. But in this scenario, at 6, I think he's going to rub some GMs the wrong way based off of attitude, based off of just his, I don't want to call him a smartass, but a lot of people have kind of labeled him as a smartass. Kind of, again, uncoachable maybe, but at the end of the day, he thinks he's smarter than everyone in the building. I think that's going to rub a lot of teams the wrong way, especially Cleveland, especially the Giants. So in this scenario, I have him falling to 6 to the Jets. So next, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going Minkah Fitzpatrick, cornerback / safety out of Alabama. Pretty much the safest player in this draft. I think he's going to enter the NFL draft as a safety. So that works out even better for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For him to get him at 7, that's great value. It's not necessarily a need, but he comes in, he's pretty much best player available, and he starts day 1 for the Bucs. So next, the Chicago Bears. I have him going Calvin Ridley. It might be a reach for Calvin Ridley. Yes, I understand that. It's a wide receiver, and, it is what it is. He's not a top 10 prospect. But what do the Chicago Bears need desperately? It's a wide receiver. I think that they're going to go after, the Allen Robinson, the Sammy Watkins, the Jarvis Landrys of the world in the free agency market. I expect them to kind of team him up, or team whoever the free agent is up with Calvin Ridley. Mitch Trubisky needs some help on this offensive side of the ball. The running game is perfect. He just needs some development as a quarterback. How do you do that? You got to get wide receivers in the building. Calvin Ridley fits that role. Smooth route runner, great hands. A lot of people point to his national championship game and said, hey, look, he dropped a couple balls. Don't define him on one game. He's a good prospect. So next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers going Connor Williams, left tackle out of Texas. Had a fantastic overall 2016 season. Got hurt in his 2017 campaign. But at the end of the day, Connor Williams, I do believe, can be a franchise left tackle. Stanley's getting old at that left tackle spot for the San Francisco 49ers. For now, you can maybe plug him in at the right tackle spot. Connor Williams, I like him. I like the fit for the 49ers. Got to protect Jimmy G. I like the fit. So next I have the Oakland Raiders going Tremaine Edmunds, outside linebacker out of Virginia Tech. Now this is an interesting stat real quick I want to throw out there. On draft day, Edmunds will be 19. Edmunds right now is considered a top 15 prospect. This guy's ceiling is absolutely incredible. He is fast. He is explosive. He is a tackling machine. He wraps up in the open field. I think pairing him with Khalil Mack is a perfect fit for John Gruden and this Oakland Raiders defense. You need a playmaker. He's going to be young. He's going to be explosive. He's going to come in and fill a need. Bruce Irvin on the other end of the outside linebacking, or the linebacking core, I guess. You have Khalil Mack. Great overall pick for the Oakland Raiders. Tremaine Edmunds. If you haven't really watched any of his highlights or any of his tape, go check him out. You will not be disappointed. I think he's number 49. Anyway, next up we have the Miami Dolphins going cornerback Josh Jackson. Now I debated putting Baker Mayfield with this pick because I know the Dolphins do like him. Tannehill's coming off the injury. He's on a big contract. Jay Cutler's obviously not the answer there. So I debated Baker Mayfield, Josh Jackson. I think at the end of the day they go Josh Jackson, an athletic freak whose stock is going to rise to the combine. He's fast. He's explosive. He's really good in the 50-50 balls. He did a lot. He turned the ball over a lot for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Overall, I think the Dolphins do need a true number 1 corner. I think Josh Jackson kind of comes in and fills that role immediately. So next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going safety Derwin James. I just really like this pick for the Bengals. Reggie Nelson kind of left, and of course, you might say to yourself, Derwin James, he's more of a strong safety. Derwin James is talented enough to play either safety position, kind of like Jamal Adams last season out of LSU. Derwin James, great pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's kind of an enforcer. He can hit. He can cover. He's a ball hawk. I like how he has traits from all the great safeties in the NFL. Many people have compared him to Ed Reed. Getting him at 12 for the Bengals, which is a need position, pairing him up with Iloka, great pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. So next, we have the Washington Redskins going defensive tackle Daron Payne. I just like the fit of pairing him up with John Allen, their first-round pick of last season. You know, 2 Alabama defensive tackles. They need to stop the run. I like what John Allen put together last season. Pair him up, ex-teammates, go to work. You traded, or you pretty much, it's pretty much obvious that you're going to get rid of Kirk Cousins because you traded for Alex Smith, your franchise quarterback. So you don't need to take Baker Mayfield here at this spot. So go. Not only is it best player available, but you're filling a position of need. You're help stopping the run. Got to go with this player, Daron Payne, for the Washington Redskins. So next we got the Green Bay Packers going cornerback Denzal Ward. A very interesting prospect, to say the least. He's explosive. He's gritty. He's kind of a grinding style of corner. You know, he's physical. I like how he gets up in players' grills and whatnot. He doesn't shy away from contact, which I really like in a corner. Getting him at this spot for the Green Bay Packers, again, fills a need. I like that. Originally, I had Josh Jackson going to the Green Bay Packers and Denzal Ward going later in the draft. But I think at the end of the day, if a player like Denzal Ward's, after watching his tape and really just trying to see his full potential, seeing him on tape, seeing what the Green Bay Packers are trying to do, they brought in Mike Pettin on defense. I think this could be a match made in heaven. They went out and they selected Kevin King out of Washington last year, I believe in the second round, high second round. So 2 young stud cornerbacks. I like the direction that Green Bay is headed. You know, obviously if they take Denzal Ward. So next we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm selecting quarterback Baker Mayfield. The only pretty much team in the NFC that doesn't have a guy to build around. Arizona, I mean, Carson Palmer's retired. Bruce Arians is gone. They have a whole new coaching staff coming in. Steve Wilkes from Carolina. I think they could get a guy with a little bit of an attitude, with a little bit of swagger, you know, come into the NFC East, or the NFC West, excuse me. You know, everyone wants to talk about Goff. Everyone wants to talk about Russell Wilson. Everyone wants to talk about Jimmy G. I think the Arizona Cardinals might be left out in that conversation, and they might need to go out and get Baker Mayfield in the first round. I think that would provide the fan base some excitement right off the bat. I just really feel like, you know, of course it is a need draft selection, but at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield to the Arizona Cardinals, I think that could be really, really cool for the NFC West. 4 franchise quarterbacks in that division. So next I have the Baltimore Ravens going wide receiver Cortland Sutton. Now this is a guy that's kind of slipped down draft boards, but I think after his pro day and after his combine, his stock will rise. He's a tall, physical wide receiver that's great with the 50-50 balls. I like Cortland Sutton on the outside. The past wide receivers that the Baltimore Ravens have drafted, they haven't really worked out. You know, Brashad Perryman, Mike Wallace, you know, I know that was a free agent signing, but, you know, they lack the number 1 wide receiver. They lack the X wide receiver. I think Cortland Sutton can come in and be that guy, be the Alshon Jeffrey of the Philadelphia Eagles. I really think that Cortland Sutton will be a great pro. He has great hands. He played at SMU. So next we got the LA Chargers going Vita Vey, defensive tackle out of Washington. Now, a couple of the guys I've talked to here and there, a little bit at the Senior Bowl as well, they view this guy as a top 15 prospect. I think pairing him up, putting him on the inside of that, or the interior of that defensive line, next to Bosa on the outside and Ingram on the other side. Vey's best attribute is stopping the run. This could be an absolute steal for the Chargers. I would be extremely, extremely excited for the Chargers if they landed Vey at this spot. Run-stopping defensive tackle, a big-bodied, hard-nosed player with 2 pass rushers on the outside. This could be a match made in heaven for the Chargers. So next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks going Mike McGlincney, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. One of my favorite players in this draft. I like him because he's physical. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a smaller Taylor Lewan from Tennessee. He's a grinder. He's not afraid of contact, like I said. He will pretty much go up against anybody. He's not going to shy away from anybody. Seattle does have a need at the offensive line position. I think McGlincney right now comes in and would play right tackle for the Seahawks because they went out and they made the trade for the Texan. So overall, great prospect, great, I guess I would say fit, you know, based on the style of offense that Seattle would run. Comes in, would play the right tackle position. I like McGlincney to the Seahawks. Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys going Marcus Davenport. This is a guy who's actually, again, one of my favorite prospects in the draft. I went to the Senior Bowl and I watched a lot of him, and he was rocky his first day, but his second day and third day at practice, he jumped off the field. He was literally the best defensive player on the field, I thought, as a pass rusher, really making his presence known. I think if the Dallas Cowboys can't retain Lawrence, the prize pass rusher, I think Davenport comes in and fills that role immediately. I think Davenport could be a steal, and I actually have him winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I think this guy could be a great NFL player out of UTSA. So next up, I have the Detroit Lions going linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia. Now, this is a guy who plays ferocious. He is a tad bit small, but he is always kind of near the ball. Extremely, he has a knack for finding the football. He's hard-nosed, reminds me he does remind me of a little bit of Reggie Ragland, or not Reggie Ragland, Reuben Foster, the other Alabama linebacker. Just another hard-nosed football. He's really good in the open field. He flocks to the football. He's never afraid to make a hit. So overall, I just think Roquan Smith to the Detroit Lions would make perfect sense. Pairing him up with Gerard Davis, their first-round pick of last season out of UF. Get this defensive unit playing well. You have Matt Patricia coming in. I think two outstanding physical linebackers, young linebackers, as well, would be great for the Detroit Lions. So that's going to do it for the first 20 picks, or for the first 19 picks. The video is kind of going on 17 minutes now. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to be knocking out the rest, 20 through 32. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and go Jets.